Good evening and welcome to Metro Focus. I'm Rafael P. Roman. We begin tonight with a steam pipe explosion in Manhattan's Flatiron District, sending a thick cloud of white smoke into the air and disrupting travel during the height of the morning commute. The blast on 21st Street and 5th Avenue left a sizable crater in the middle of the street, littering the surrounding area with mud and debris. 5 minor injuries were reported, and more than 24 buildings were evacuated with concerns mounting over potential asbestos exposure. New York's Fire Commissioner Daniel Nigro confirmed that nearby decontamination zones have been set up.
So approximately 100 of our members, the fire department members, will require decontamination. Other members who have operated here may also require it, as well as some civilians. There are 2 decon stations set up north and south of the hot zone, one at 22nd Street and one at 19th Street. And anyone who feels they were affected by this and possibly contaminated can report there for evaluation at this time.
The pipe system is operated by Con Edison, and an investigation is underway to determine the cause of the blast. More than 100 miles of steam piping lie beneath our city, and the explosion once again places a spotlight on the city's aging infrastructure. And now let's turn to someone with firsthand experience dealing with this kind of scenario. Lucius Riccio was the city's transportation commissioner in 1990 when a steam pipe ruptured on the Upper East Side. Riccio is also here to talk about a pressing school safety issue that he recently wrote about in a New York Times op-ed. Lucius Riccio joins us now. Lucius, welcome to the show once again.
My pleasure.
Let's start with the pipe. Now, how did you and the city respond when that rupture occurred in 1990? And what does today's pipe rupture say about the state of our infrastructure?
Well, this was a serious explosion today. I was delighted how well the city responded to cordon off the area and protect everybody as a result of this explosion. Actually, we haven't had a major explosion like this probably in 30 years. Back in 1990, we were pressing Con Ed to upgrade its steam system. It's a terrific steam system that recycles steam, uses it for heat and for driving compressors for air conditioning. It's a wonderful source of energy, and they should be recognized for the good system they have. But in those days, there was melting the sidewalk, melting the streets. So we said, you have to upgrade. And they did. They did a terrific job. As a result, for 30 years, we haven't had a major problem. The question is this a one-off, or is this an indication that that work 30 years ago is now coming to its end and they have to do more work?
So what's your sense? I mean, these pipes are, what, 86 years old? And, you know, immediately I thought I made a connection with the infrastructure of the subway. Are we heading to another infrastructure crisis?
I think they did a really good job of upgrading 30 years ago. And my guess is, I'm hoping this is a one-off. The investigation will indicate that.
All right. Now let's turn to the piece that you wrote for the New York Times in an op-ed about school safety. What are we talking about? What is the issue?
Well, as we wrote about it, Jeanette Sadakan, the former commissioner, transportation commissioner, and I wrote this article for the New York Times that clearly the problem is that the Republican-led state Senate has failed to renew the speed camera program that we have, which has resulted in a tremendous improvement in traffic safety around our schools. We have 140 cameras surrounding a lot of the schools. As a result of that, there's been a 63% reduction in traffic speeding. Yeah. There's been, over the course of several years, the number of deaths and serious injuries to children have come way down. Okay. We're at record lows now. And by not renewing this, we're going to go back to a serious problem.
So what do you mean not renewing it?
Well,
who's not renewing it?
Well, the legislation, unfortunately, the legislation doesn't give the city unlimited authorization. It limits it to 140 cameras and only for a certain number of years. And that reauthorization came up this year. Yeah. And as they have done in the past, the state legislature has failed to protect New York City.
Well, the assembly passed it. What we're talking about is the program. Actually, the mayor wanted to expand it to double the number of cameras, right?
He wanted to add 150 more cameras, and he's right.
And the assembly passed it.
So the Democrat-led assembly passed it, but the Republican-led Senate failed to pass it.
Didn't even act on it.
And just wanted to let it disappear.
So the situation is now that if the Senate doesn't go back to Albany to vote on it, next week, the cameras go dark. The program that's been so successful, as you say, will close down.
And it's a terrible signal that we send to everybody. By the way, we're talking about children's lives. In this country, we probably lose more children to traffic accidents than we lose to gun violence. Yeah. This is a very serious problem. And and the mayor should be credited with this terrific program, Vision Zero, which has brought traffic fatalities down and traffic injuries to a record low amount. When I was commissioner, we turned the corner back 30 years ago. There was around 600 or 700 fatalities a year. We're now down to around 200 fatalities a year. In a country where the fatalities are going up, 40,000 lives a year. If every mayor in the country did what Mayor de Blasio and Commissioner Trottenberg are doing here in the city, we'd save 25,000 lives a year.
And these scammers alone, I mean, they protect children by and large.
Because
correct?
They're around the schools.
They're
around the schools.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe they should be everywhere, not just children. But
right now they're in the school.
There's three ways of improving safety. One is education, and the Mayor's Vision Zero program has done a terrific job of getting the message out that your choices matter. The second is engineering, and the engineers have done a terrific job on some of the worst highways, Queens Boulevard, the Grand Concourse. When I was commissioner, we lose maybe 10 or 15 people a year. Zero this year. Zero deaths on Queens Boulevard, one on the Grand Concourse. This is a tremendous program. And the third thing is enforcement. And these programs, police have done a great job. They're trying to do more.
And these speed cameras, when the cops aren't around, they act as cops. Basically, they take a picture of people speeding, and they're guaranteed to get a ticket. That's why it's reduced the speeding by 63%.
And it works. And the people who get the tickets, 80% of the people who get the tickets don't get another ticket. They learn. There is a purpose to deterrence, that if you learn from it, you'll change your behavior, and everybody will be safer.
Lucius, we got it. It works. So it works. But why then did the state Senate, led by Republicans, refuse to act on it and likely make the program end completely in less than a week? Well, what was their argument?
If I could explain the state Senate and how many times they've hurt the city with not passing the right legislation, I could make a lot of money as a
But in this
commentator.
Case, they must have said the reason why they did.
In this case, they believe that these cameras, or they believe their constituents believe these cameras are just money generators. They are not money generators. They are to change people's behavior in a positive way. And by the way, not only are children's lives are saved, but the motorist who kills a child, his life is ruined. And so everybody is better off as a result of having these. I believe they should be everywhere. I believe that the governor should bring back the legislature, make them reauthorize this, give the city another 150 cameras so we can all be a lot safer.
Let's talk about that in a second, but very quickly, answer this. Why is Albany responsible for these lights in New York City? Why do legislators who live hundreds of miles away from the city have any say in this?
Well, the city is a construct of the state. The state is all-powerful in overseeing these kinds of things. And it's unfortunate that Albany just doesn't listen. Our council people are all behind this. I mean, it raises the question: is why are we beholden to Albany? Why?
And by the way,
maybe we shouldn't be.
And I just read that 3 Republicans declared publicly that they would vote for this. So there's a majority if they go back to Albany and vote. That the governor has the power, the constitutional power, to call these guys or these men and women in the Senate to Albany to vote on this. He supports this program. Why hasn't he called them back?
Yeah, he should call them back. This is really a no-brainer. There's no reason not to put this in place and do more to help the city, and our children are the most precious.
But what's the argument that he's giving for why he's not calling them back when he's so supportive of this program?
I think he has a lot on his plate, and I think he better pay attention to this one, because New Yorkers are upset that we don't have the authority to control our own lives and protect our own children.
Well, I mean, he could have also had, during the legislative session, he could have used his power to pressure them to vote for it, right?
Well, you'll have to talk to the governor on that one.
Okay, you don't want to
have an election year, and I hope that the governor does the right thing here, and that Albany does the right thing here, because parents all through the city and teachers are all recognize that we need to have this. I mean, do we need to have active drivers drills in the schools to protect our children? No, this is the right way to do it.
So we got less than 30 seconds, Lucius. Tell us. I mean, that's what you hope will happen. What do you think will happen?
Well, I think they have to do it. And if they don't do it now, it'll come back to haunt them, and they'll put it back in place. Cameras are used all over the country effectively. They have been proven to be effective, and there's no reason. We need to continue to drop. The number of fatalities has dropped over the last 20 years. Keep it going. Let's keep the pressure on.
All right, and there's schools and their kids in schools right now, so it will affect them directly. Lucius, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.